So now we have two people here who are saying it's Donald Trump's fault
Scott,
that someone shot up an ISIS facility.
Nobody is saying that.
You literally said that.
Listen, let me finish.
And then you agreed with it.
You want to know what I said? I said Donald Trump created this environment over the past decade. You sat here and said, I need to take responsibility. I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber. You hold me to a higher standard than the man that
I'm
we
holding
just
you to
listened
your standard of your punditry.
Donald
Your
Trump was
punditry
just
is that Trump's
vomiting
at fault.
vitriol out of his mouth about how the other party is weak and evil. And he just said the party of hate, evil, and Satan. You blind yourself to that, and you're focusing on a 22-year-old YouTuber.
Adam Mockler went on Abby Phillip's CNN show Table for Five as part of a panel to go up against MAGA stooge and professional smirker Scott Jennings to discuss the ongoing heated rhetoric that we're hearing from Donald Trump and MAGA in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting. We're going to take a look at clips of Adam Mockler, Scott Jennings, and the rest on Abby Phillip's CNN show. I will share my thoughts on this as well. Let's check it out together.
Yeah, Donald Trump has done this with a few people. He directly calls out their name online on his Truth Social, and then within days, you see them either targeted, their show gets pulled off, they get indicted. And when it comes to Eric Siebert, you can sit here and argue that, Trump had nothing to do with this, but it's so clear that he was putting his thumb on the scale when he fired Eric Siebert. And then, 6 days before the statute of limitations are up, this new federal prosecutor is rushing this through. And I agree, we should let the process play out. It's fine to let it go through a grand jury. But can you at least concede that Trump was putting his thumb on the scale when he posted Comey's name, 4 days before Comey was indicted?
I don't think anyone is disputing that he thinks James Comey
Did he put his thumb on the scale,
is a bad person who deserves to be investigated, and if a grand jury so chooses,
Did Trump
indicted.
put his thumb on the scale, though?
He has never denied that. He's been very clear about it, has he not?
It ain't good.
Ahmed asked for them to point out either any example of Joe Biden doing this. No example. Scott Jennings said, I don't know anything. That's always your fallback. Donald Trump directly asked Pam Bondi.
There was a story.
Do you remember when Biden said, hey, Merrick, can you go after this person? It didn't happen. You have no example.
And also,
it's literally in the news. I'm sorry. I know you're like 12, but it happened.
You're a smart dude.
It's like it happened.
It was never reported, and also
it was reported.
No, it was never reported that he told Merrick Garland to indict.
Right.
And that was never reported. We know that. Okay. And also, I just have to say,
the reporting said or not?
Yes, no. There was a story.
The reporting said that he told Merrick Garland.
The point of the story was that Joe Biden was mad and he was angry, and the point of the story was that it would get out so that they would feel pressure to move on it.
Wait, and he told who?
It was done in the reporting.
Okay, I just think again,
the point was it for it to get out.
It's super. Listen, I think Alyssa's point is
Adam Mockler and Abby Phillip are correct. We have never seen the kind of corruption in at least modern times from the president that we are seeing from Donald Trump. And Scott Jennings can smirk and smile and laugh and roll his eyes and look into the camera the way that he does and try to deny this. But the whataboutism that we get from Scott Jennings and these other MAGA types about, what about what Joe Biden did? Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Bill Clinton and whoever else that they want to go back to in the past, Democratic presidents, did nothing on the level of corruption that Donald Trump has done, and the amount of political pressure that he tries to put on people who just disagree with him to have them fired and even charged, as they're trying to do with Comey right now. If this isn't authoritarianism, I don't know what is. And Scott Jennings can bring up whatever little things that he believes that Joe Biden did, but it's nothing on the level of what Donald Trump is doing in his second term.
Can anyone point to one single example of President Joe Biden, privately or publicly, in any documented evidence of our reality, directing his Attorney General Merrick Garland to prosecute his political opponents, let alone protect his own son, who got indicted under his watch? When did
what?
Show me.
He pardoned him.
I want to hear. Show me the answer to. When did he direct Merrick Garland to prosecute Donald Trump?
I want to hear an answer to that.
He publicly, in a Politico story, was reported to have been fuming to anyone who would listen that Merrick Garland was not moving fast enough.
Did he tell Merrick Garland?
He publicly was fuming privately? Is that what you said right there?
He's asked for evidence of it. He was in a Politico story. There was reporting on it.
Did he tell Merrick Garland?
I don't know what he did.
Prosecute these specific people?
And by the way, I don't know a living Democrat.
So I love this from Scott Jennings. Well, Joe Biden, he did all these different things, and then they call him on it. Well, Scott Jennings says, well, I don't know what Joe Biden did. I don't know what he did. it. I mean, what a clown Scott Jennings is.
Wait. I think this is super important. So are you suggesting that because Joe Biden was angry about something but didn't express it to Merrick Garland, that constitutes
You don't know
pressure
whether
on
he
Merrick
did or he
Garland?
didn't, but I know it was put in a
do you
story.
know- but do you know?
This is what you guys just said. He says things out loud.
Scott,
Joe Biden said things out loud or had it reported in a Politico so people would hear it.
I think it's a really simple factual issue here with this idea that Democrats, Joe Biden did this to Trump.
I didn't bring up Joe Biden. I'm not the person who rejected this.
But listen, where's the proof? Don't we need proof?
To be honest,
Yeah, I'm pretty tired of conservatives gaslighting about the current political environment and Donald Trump's rhetoric when all of this escalation can be traced back to his entrance into American politics. His claim to fame was saying that Obama wasn't born in America. He was the first presidential candidate to have his crowd chant, "Lock her up," about a political opponent. You can bring up the insurrection. Even in the past few weeks, my home city of Chicago, he posted a photo of Chicago being invaded by the Department of War. So the broader point here is Donald Trump endlessly deflects and tries to blame it on the other side when he is the one responsible for amping up the tension in America. And I've spent all of my formative years throughout high school, throughout college, looking to the president, who I'm supposed to be able to look up to, and seeing somebody who's trying to place blame on the left, who's amping up the rhetoric constantly. And yeah, it's not good.
So you think it's Donald Trump's fault that a deranged leftist climbed up to the top of a building and shot up the ICE facility, not once now, but twice in Texas?
I think it's Donald Trump's fault that America has gotten to this heated place. I think that's
no responsibility for the radicalization on the left that's causing this violent outburst.
That 29-year-old is radicalized by online communities and online algorithms. I'm not going to blame that directly on Trump, but he was caught in a lot of online video game algorithms and all these communities. Donald Trump,
but it's Trump's
10
fault.
years ago, Donald Trump amped up the tension in America.
So he ran 10 years ago, and this guy then 10 years later, somehow you're connecting. Can't you just take responsibility for it?
Oh,
on the left.
But let's not do the he has to take responsibility because he's a Democrat.
I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber. You want me to take more responsibility than the president of the United States?
I want you to understand.
I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber.
I want you to understand that we are in the middle of an epidemic of left-wing violence. They're attacking ICE. They shot Charlie. It's happening all over the country. We have these Free Palestine people running around trying to burn down the Pennsylvania governor's mansion. On and on.
Then
and
maybe
on.
the president.
It's not Trump's fault.
The president of the
that
United
the left
States
is radicalized to the point of saying we're done talking and we're going to start shooting.
Scott, the data indicates.
Is Trump amping down the tensions?
Amping down the tensions?
Yeah. Is he taking the tensions down? Is he trying to do that?
I think he's mad that his friend got murdered. If you want that.
The job of the president is to tone down the rhetoric.
Yeah.
Scott Jennings is just an unserious, disingenuous person. I mean, I've done a lot of videos now about Scott Jennings, and I kind of feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again about him because this is his shtick. He just goes on CNN with Abby Phillip, and if dictionaries still existed, you could look up in the dictionary the term whataboutism, and there would be a picture of Scott Jennings' face. I mean, that's all this guy does. Adam Mockler is so spot on with saying that Donald Trump he has to take a big amount of the blame for all the problems that we're dealing with in the United States in terms of the division that we have right now. You know, MAGA types, Republicans, tried to blame Obama for division, that he caused all these race issues in the country. But as Adam Mockler is pointing out, it's nothing but division constantly from Donald Trump and from MAGA types like Scott Jennings, because it's always, what about the left? What about the left? What about the left? Never. He asks Adam Mockler here to take responsibility for the left, but you're never, ever going to hear Scott Jennings or any of the other MAGA people that go on Abby Phillip's show, Ben Ferguson and these other clowns, take any responsibility for what the right does and what Donald Trump does. Donald Trump, immediately after the shooting happened with Charlie Kirk, started in on the left, the left, the left. This is left radicals. Before we knew anything about the shooter, Donald Trump goes to Charlie Kirk's memorial, a place that you'd think maybe somebody could act a little bit presidential at, somebody's memorial, even though I disagree with Charlie Kirk and the lionization and deification of him. You think you could at least act a little bit in a somber way at somebody's memorial. But Donald Trump says, you know, I hate my enemies, and is constantly stoking this fire of dissent and keeping the MAGA base riled up. And when Adam Mockler says, you know, he's just a 2-year-old YouTuber, shouldn't the president be held to a higher standard? I think that's what these people should be, anybody who's on the left or a Democrat should be saying on these shows every night and every day on the mainstream media to these clowns like Scott Jennings when they try to blame all of these different people for problems that we're having in our country. Instead of saying, shouldn't the president of the United States be held to a little higher standard than YouTubers or commentators on TV or some random person in the country somewhere? Shouldn't it start with the president of the United States? Can't our president even take 30 seconds after his so-called friend was killed to say, hey, maybe we should tone down the rhetoric a little bit? Maybe on both sides, and it starts with me as the president of the United States, to tone things down a little bit. But no, Donald Trump is incapable of doing that. He just continues to stoke the fires. And Scott Jennings and all these other MAGA creeps that go on Abby Phillip's show and any of these other mainstream shows or YouTube shows do exactly the same thing. Continue to stoke the fire, to take no responsibility for anything, to just say the left, the left, the left. Everything is the blame of the left. The left does all the violence. None of it is happening on the right. And that's what Scott Jennings does every night on CNN. He just spreads misinformation, disinformation, throws out whataboutism. It's time for some of these MAGA people to actually take some responsibility for what's going on. But they're never going to do it because this is how Scott Jennings makes his living. Sadly, CNN invites him on night after night. He goes on Abby Phillip's show to spew all of this hatred, all of this MAGA nonsense. Well, let me know what you think about all of it. Do you agree with what Adam Mockler had to say on Abby Phillip's show? Are you on the side of Scott Jennings? I don't know how anybody could be and like this disingenuous, smirking creep, but I know there are people out there who think Scott Jennings is great. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I am Chris on Culture, and I'll see you in the next video.